What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Busy Life Podcast. My name is Julie, and today I have two of my amazing friends with me. They both have actually been on the show before, but they are back. We've got Michelle and we've got Anya. So we are going to be talking about just honestly life as a woman, and we want to normalize it. I know there's a lot that girls, women, all of us go through that makes us feel very under pressure, and it makes you feel stressed, and it makes you feel like there's all of these standards that you need to meet or things that you need to feel and do. And you need to be strong but not too strong because then you're masculine, or you need to be kind but not too kind because then you're a pushover. So we just want to bring some normalcy to you. We want to help calm things down. We want to let you know that you're doing a great job. And I'm going to tell you guys that the reason I wanted to do this is because I had a listener reach out to me, and she compared herself to me, and she said, the way you talk about things just comes across like you know what you're doing, you've got your life together, and the reason you can talk about all of this is because you know what you're doing. And honey, that is just not far from the truth, but it's a balancing act. One day I might feel totally fine, but the next day I'm exhausted. And I think the minute we start comparing ourselves to each other instead of just being so happy for each other, we've lost the joy in our day, and we've lost the joy in finding ourselves in the process. So I've got these two women on here to help all of us just kind of debunk some things, just normalize our lives. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then I'm actually going to read a little bit of a study that I found, and we're going to just dive right in and talk about that.
I'm Anya. I'm a friend of Julie and Michelle's. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a single mom to two boys. My Instagram handle is Anya_power. Is that a good intro? I'm a real estate agent, entrepreneur, artist.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Hi, I'm Mish. My Instagram handle is mish.life. I am a personal trainer. I work for a company as well as for myself. And I also have an app. So all my programming is in there. And yeah, I just like to make sure that everyone is strong and empowered mentally, physically, all the things.
Yeah. So we've got two perfect people here to have this conversation with us. I found a study that just kind of made me really upset, and it, if anything, I guess verified the fact that this listener who reached out to me is not the only one. And I know this. I know as a woman that it's not easy, but it still hurts to read all this online, just knowing that it really is, sorry, men, but it is the harder gender. We have way more standards, way more pressure on us. And there was a study done on, I believe it was 130 high school girls. And they answered questions such as, how often do you feel unwanted? How often do you feel weak? How often do you notice or feel prejudice because of your gender? And all of the answers are above 83%. So it's like 83% of women do feel prejudice because of their gender, or they do feel weak because of their gender, or they do feel unintelligent because of their gender, or they feel uncomfortable, or they feel like they have more they have to prove, or more that they have to do. And it's just, it's such a broad topic that I don't even know how to attack this, other than I just want everybody to know that you are a human. You do not have to live to these societal expectations. You do not have to do what all these people are saying you need to do, because who are these people? Are these people that actually mean something to you, or is it something that somebody said online? Like, I know I've talked a lot about in different episodes the the need to be skinny or the need to be strong. And you, like I said, you can be thin but not too thin, because then, oh, maybe you're anorexic, but not too strong because then you're too muscular. But empower women, but don't forget to take care of yourself, and do this but don't forget to do that. I mean, what comes to your mind when you guys hear all of that?
Well, I just remember myself as a high school girl and all the things you said, like feeling, uncertain, unsafe, just like judged, or like, it definitely resonates. I feel like it's, I feel like we can only just normalize it, as opposed to like, we can't really do anything much about it except like have this conversation and like shine a light on it, because to like feel, uncertainty or just like judgment is like completely normal. And I feel like now more than ever before in the past, it's like being talked about, even with like Kelsey, and like bringing it to light. Because before it would just be like, like be quiet and just like suffer in silence. And I'm sure like, boys suffer too. They're just taught not to talk about it, or,
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's like the biggest thing, especially like thinking back to high school. Just know that how you feel is how almost pretty every single person, well, every one of your peers are feeling the same exact way. They're all, like Anya said, they're all uncertain. Um, your body's changing and all the things, and that's normal too. Like you will sweat, like you're gonna grow hair in weird places. Like that's normal. Like it's normal. And I know like growing up, like no one talked about it, and that's the one thing, like, oh my God, am I a weirdo? What am I doing wrong? Like I'm there's nothing wrong with you. Like you're growing up. You are coming into your own. And the sooner that like you realize that no one has their shit together, no one is like 1,000% sure of themselves. I think that's when like you can like kind of almost like relieve that pressure on that you put on yourself
right.
of being like perfect or a certain way or whatever else that you're pressured or taught to be.
I completely agree. And, I think about the listener who reached out to me, and she was like, some of your episodes, you just sound like you have everything together. And there's that pressure that I feel because I want to be like you. And even though that is a compliment, she thinks that I've got everything together. I do it because it makes me happy, and I do things because I want to do them. But I would 100% be lying if I said I have always been like that, because I definitely haven't been. I mean, when I was in high school, I mean, oh my God, I just wanted to be thin, to have straight teeth. I mean, I had the gap between my front teeth, and there's so much more of my life that I just haven't had a chance to talk about yet on the podcast. And when people hear what I talk about, or they see my posts and they're like, oh, but you have abs, or, but you're already thin. Like, what are you talking about being so healthy? You already are healthy. So it's easy for you to say those things. It's like, you just have no idea, though, what other people have gone through. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the work that they've put in too,
I
because
was just gonna say that the
Yeah.
work, the constant work. It's not just like a thing that you do. It's not like a 21 day challenge or anything
Yeah.
like that. Like you have to like it's a 24/7 thing. It's a constant reminder to combat those negative thoughts, to make sure that you learn to listen to yourself, learn how your body responds, and not to like overwork yourself, but still push yourself when you're feeling lazy, And I mean, granted, sometimes lazy is fine, like there's nothing wrong with it, but if you want a new habit to stick, you have to push yourself to do it. And it takes a lot.
You do.
absolutely.
I agree. And it's hard to capture the moments. Like, I mean, I'll only post on my good or better days, only because I don't want to like post on my shitty day. I'm not even opening Instagram when I'm like feeling anxious, overwhelmed, like overworked. What am I going to
Yeah.
take photos of myself just like sobbing? I just don't like, that's just not normal. But I mean, like those days, are there. There's plenty of them where things do not feel right. And I'm overwhelmed and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my
But it's
God, I
just,
feel like those days are more than I think
yeah.
the good ones that you see on
Right.
Instagram.
Yeah.
or
And like
anywhere on social media.
I love that you post like, oh, you know, like when you're having like a shit day or just like I love it because I'm like, oh my God, yes. But I'm like, I just can't like it's just not me to like post about it. I'll do like maybe a story being like, oh my God, that really sucked. I gave up. But then I'm like, you know,
Yeah,
um,
I can't hide it. Like, because I'm more than half the time I'm filming during my workouts. So
mhm,
if I'm pissed off, like I flip my
yeah,
camera off or I like scream obscenities, but you don't really hear because I have music over it. So
yeah,
um yeah, I mean, more than half the time I'm an angry person. Like I get mad, I get pissed off. Like it's just
that's
it
awesome
is
though.
what it
That's
is.
great. I'm working with my therapist to like work on my anger and to feel it more because I've, you know, kind of pushed that emotion
Yeah.
so far away that I'm like learning to process and like accept anger.
Because you've
And
been
then,
taught that you can't be.
yes,
Yeah,
Taught
it's
that
been
you
that
need
it's
to
like a
be
negative
yourself.
emotion, that it's bad.
the
Yes.
anger is like all of a sudden like hatred almost kind
Yeah,
of like it's put in like that same kind of category. And
right.
but it's like it's a common human thing that
Yeah,
we all go through and experience, and we shouldn't feel ashamed for being mad or pissed off or
right.
anything like
Every
that.
every single emotion has to be felt because you
Right.
are a human, and being a woman in no way, shape, or form is ever meant to diminish any of those feelings. And if anything, you should look at it like a gift. You have, I mean, you're a fucking woman. Like, how amazing is that? You get to you have to switch the perspective that you get to go through all of these amazing things as a woman.
Hmm.
And I know in the moment they do not feel amazing. I mean, this is my 28-year-old self talking about these things, but my 16-year-old self is probably like, yeah, fucking right. But it's true. And you have to find ways to cheer yourself on and to take care of yourself because you are worth it, and it is not worth it to diminish anything just because people say you're a woman, women are kind and gentle and warm. Fuck that. I curse all the time and I don't care.
Yeah.
Someone told me, one of my listeners was like, love your podcast, but it's hard to listen to because there's a lot of cursing.
Really?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
But guess what? Women curse
yeah,
yeah, all the
yeah.
all the fucking time. You can say
all the fucking time.
See, I can't even say it. I'm like all the effing time, all the fucking time.
yes, because
Yeah,
we're taught, no, 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 no. Oh, that's dirty. Dirty stuff is for men. We don't do that. Like,
But you even hear it like when like maybe even like someone on social media says something, so they over like I feel like they immediately get comments like, oh, but you need to be careful who's watching and all this stuff, and it's like, okay.
yeah. That's not like your job. It's like you're not gonna,
Mm,
you know.
yeah, like it's like I get it, but at the same time it's like, so I'm just supposed to not express myself
Right,
yeah,
because you're offended,
right.
or it's a
sorry.
little too not the way that you would want to do it. I don't know. It's a very weird area.
I think if anybody, so if there's any high schoolers who are listening to this, I think you'll find out that once you passed, I think it really started for me, honestly, this year. I think once you've passed this point in your life, you're like, wow, you know what? F what everybody else has to say. I'm going to do things
Damn.
because they make me happy. And that is really the best thing that I can say to anybody is just I do the things I do because they make me happy. And it took a long time for me to learn that I'm going to do these for me, not because someone else told me to, because there's been plenty of times, and I know all three of us have felt this, that I have to exercise because I need to be thin, or I have to be nice because then people won't like me. I mean,
Hmm.
talk about that. What were your experiences like that? Both your faces just went like, oh, fuck. Don't even get me started.
Let me put some lights on so I'm not like a floating head.
I know, me too. I'm in the dark. Hold on 1 second. And Anya's the only one who was smart here and put the lights on.
I know. I'm thinking like, oh, it's fine. And then it's just getting darker and darker, and I'm just like
It,
thinking in the shadows.
tell me what are some of your crazy stories that you can think back on? Because I know we all have them, where you would tell your younger self, why the fuck did you listen to that?
There's lots of like, starving myself, kind of being like, oh, I have to fast for like as many days as possible because it's the only way that you'll stay a certain size. And in high school, like it was never about like fitness or exercise. I thought I like exercise. I just like did not eat. I also thought I was naturally skinny. I just didn't eat. Um,
I'm only laughing because I've been there, but it's
yeah,
just what you tell yourself. Oh, I'm thin because I
right.
am in that moment, but I'm also like, I had low blood pressure.
Hey,
And they're like, oh, but that's a good thing to have. I'm like, it's really not. It's
yeah,
really
and I just remember like in middle school, my dad would be like, "Oh, you're putting on weight, like you're putting on a little bit of weight, like you're getting a little chunky." And then like when I was super thin, like I'm talking like 110 pounds at like 5 foot like 9, like that was like, "Oh,
Wow.
you look great," and I was just like, "Okay, yeah, like this is the ideal." And I mean, it was, yeah,
Oh,
it just
that's the worst. That's
yeah,
the
and I think
worst.
it's like my primary focus too. It was like I was so wrapped up about, maybe because I was so hungry, but about like the way I looked and staying thin, and not eating, that it was like it consumed so much of my time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
like my looks consumed so much of my time. Like even like through college, it would be like, all right, I have to get ready. It's like this whole like ritual, like, oh my God, I have to get ready. I have to like look a certain way before I like make an entrance to the world. Like nobody gives a shit. Like honestly, like what I looked like, but to me it was like, oh, I have to do the ceremonial thing, and to please everyone around me. Now I'll literally roll out of bed and walk my dogs. I don't give a shit. Like, but then it was
Same.
like, yeah,
I'll walk into the grocery store with like a bun on my head in my pajamas, and I do not give a shit.
no,
Yeah. I'm literally, I mean, I don't post the videos of these podcasts, even though I probably should, but I'm literally sitting here and I've always had these baby hairs. And I remember I used to be told that they needed to be smushed down and oh, they look weird because your baby hairs are sticking out. And then there was like one point in time when I tried to like pull them down. And I mean, I don't know, like, cause some people used to have like those really pretty like pieces of hair that would like fall just so
yeah.
perfectly on their face and shape their head and make their bun look beautiful. And I just look like I got electrocuted instead. So I was like, you know what? We're just going to let the baby hairs do their own thing. But I was told, again, like with the being thin thing, yeah, like, oh, you look so good right now. Or, oh, like when your hair is
Mm.
pushed back, it looks so nice. You look so good that way. And just it doesn't matter because now, like me, I'll go into the store and I don't care. I don't care if like the girl that I thought was the most popular girl in school walks past me. I'm tired. I'm trying to get my food and I'm trying to get out. And I don't give a fuck about your day. I just want to go home. And if my hair looks like I got electrocuted, I look like I got electrocuted. Have a nice day.
Yeah, I remember being like in high school. I remember being told that because I was a soccer player, and if you practice like a shit ton after school, and I was very muscular. I had very muscular calves, and I remember one of the guys saying like, "Oh my God, you have bigger calves than me," and I'm just like, "What?" He's like, "Oh, don't." They're like, "Don't make sure you don't snap me in half," and I'm just like, "What the
Mm-hmm.
fuck?" And I remember just that sticking in my head, being like, "Oh shit! Like, am I not supposed to? Are my calves really that big? Like, are they too big, or are they?" Like, you know what I mean? Like it gets drilled into your head. You're like, oh God, I can't be too muscular.
Yep. I've always carried more weight around my waist, and I was told just that a woman is supposed to have a flat stomach, and it's
Mhm.
like, why?
Yeah.
Like now, I please, I have to like remember to sit up straight just because it's not good for my posture. But like, there's there's so many memories I have of being told, "You look great and you have really nice legs, but like your tummy kind of sticks out." Or even recently, I went to dinner And someone told me that the shirt I was wearing made me look pregnant because my stomach was sticking out.
Yeah.
And
I'm
they
like,
were
I
like,
get that all the time.
what?
I hate that. Oh my God.
Yep. Yep. They're like, I was just letting you know because, you don't want people to ask if you're not.
Yeah.
Well, you shouldn't be asking to begin with.
Yeah, it's so rude. I hate when people do that. Like I've had that happen to me and I'm like, first of all, I'm not pregnant. Fuck off. Like don't comment. I don't
Yeah.
know you. This is
Like
not
it's like
yeah,
just shut up. Like
right.
don't say anything. What in your right fucking mind do you ever say that to somebody?
Right. And I teach my kids that all the time. I'm like, do not comment on anyone's appearance, like ever. Like they could be blue, they could be green, they could have like 10, I don't know, toes on one foot. Like, don't make any comments about people's appearance. It does not matter.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, for sure. I
Not
like that.
your body, not your business.
yeah.
Hmm.
That needs to be on a big poster somewhere. Not your body, not your business.
Yeah.
Because also
All over plastered all over the country.
yeah, everywhere, everywhere, everywhere. Because even now that Ryan and I just got married, I even had a coworker say to me, and I know she meant well. So if she's listening, I'm not mad at you. I know she meant well. But she even said to me too, she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you got married this summer. Are you pregnant?" I was like, "No, I'm not."
Mm,
And then there
yeah.
comes the question of, but are you gonna be? Because here's another pressure. Once you're married, you must have kids, right? Because you're a woman and you're supposed to be having kids. And if you don't have kids, then why? What's wrong? Oh, you know what? Maybe she's not in a good relationship. Maybe she's not really stable. Maybe she would think she'd be a bad mother. It's like, no. I mean,
Yeah.
what's wrong with just me saying I just want to live my life and I just don't want kids right now? But then you feel the pressure to then say, but I will, like maybe next year, and they're like, oh, okay, when? It's like, why? I should not get pregnant to please you, and
Right.
I should not have to have a flat stomach or be pregnant, and that's the only reason I have my stomach is sticking out to please you. That is just not that's no way to live.
Right.
No.
Yeah. We should stop giving so much. I know it's easier said than done, but like so much weight to like other people's comments or whatever they're saying. Cause like the less like we, I don't know, like listen or like value them or even acknowledge them, like the more they kind of like drown out, like you don't hear them as much. Cause I'm sure there's like a lot more coming at me, but like I've just like learned to kind of tune it out where like there's no weight to them anymore. People could make comments or like walking down the street, someone could say something positive or like negative. Like I get called snowflake sometimes in my neighborhood or like tell me I have like a good butt for a white girl. Like don't care either way,
Wow.
whatever. Um, it just yeah, it's just hard when you're like a teenager or in high school and like you're so still delicate and like impressionable, like where everything
Hmm.
like really, really, and I see that in my 13-year-old, and he's a little bit on the bigger side and he's so self-conscious about it. And he's just, like, but we're working out, like he was just at camp, he's getting fit, but he's a big guy and he has like a size like 13 foot and is taller than me now. It's like he's a big guy, but and then I see him like on TikTok looking at all these bodybuilders, like, and I'm like,
Oh
no,
no.
no, those are steroids, no. And then, like just like, but you're just bombarded with all this. Like, I don't even know how kids do it these days with all like the social media and just like this like content and just like this not like we didn't really have that growing up, not as much. Like,
No. We had magazines and that was bad
yeah,
enough.
yeah, and like you would cut them out and like I would make like little
Make collages and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yes, I
Post
had
them in your locker.
yes, I had my Nick
Oh,
Jonas wall. I had my Hillary Duff wall. I had
yeah.
Harry Styles when he was even on J14, even though I was well into high school at that point. I still
That
had
was
the wall.
way beyond my time.
Yeah.
Way past my time, I should say.
Do you guys remember in the back of magazines they would have those ads that'd be like, lose weight and you would like cut them out or just like
Yes.
fall? Yeah.
I remember seeing, I remember a lot of the magazines like Cosmo and any pretty much any women's magazine had like diet pills or like Slim Fast ads or
Yes. Yes.
the Special K bars and
Yeah.
all of it, just like every couple pages just drilling into your head like, oh,
Yeah.
you need to be small, you need to be
Right.
skinny, you need to be whatever
Yeah.
they want you to be. But um yeah, it's, I can't imagine the pressure that kids are constantly bombarded with today
Yeah.
with social media and TikTok and honestly on top of it, like the everything, it can be edited. Like nothing's real.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, for sure.
That's a whole
Yeah.
another issue,
Mhm.
which is mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, even I work in an elementary school and my kids sometimes just the clothes I see them come in sometimes and you hear them talking about why they're dressed up the way they are or who they're trying to be like or the songs I hear them humming. Like some of them is just, some of these things are just so inappropriate for these little elementary schoolers. So if that's what they're like listening to and talking about, I have what they're also exposed to is probably so far beyond what
Oh
I
yeah.
could even imagine just because of technology nowadays. And even in my community specifically that I work in, a lot of them are like a very, very, very tight knit community. So the younger girls hang out with the older girls and they want to be like the older girls, but the older girls are in this phase where they're trying to look a certain way and they're wearing the belly top. So then sometimes they come to school looking like that and we have to send them back because they're not wearing the right like school
I was
clothes.
wondering if kids were allowed to wear crop tops in school. I guess it just depends on the school. I know for a fact that like we were not allowed to.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
were so many rules for girls and what we could wear and all that stuff.
Like
So I don't,
especially
I'm
shorts, like they can't be too short or like this can't
mm-hmm.
I feel like everything they sell
It has
in
to be the
so
length
much.
that your hands meet
Yes.
to your legs.
Yeah.
I mean, teachers have that for sure because you definitely want to be like covered, but majority of the dress code rules are for women.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nobody cares if
Yep.
a guy comes in his basketball shorts and a t-shirt. I know nothing's showing there, but they would definitely care if I
Yeah.
came, even if it was a long enough dress and even if it covered everything, if I came in like a bodycon dress, does not matter how covered it is, that's revealing. And I can't wear that, even though I'm very comfortable in it and nothing is showing except for my body and the natural way it is.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's still not fair.
Yeah.
Same
And
thing like when you can't wear like tank tops or something. Uh, like why is my shoulder offensive?
yeah. I know.
Like, are you
No.
kidding?
Yeah. Like even to like work though, like say if I'm meeting clients or anything, like I can't show up in just like a t-shirt and shorts. That would be like considered unprofessional. Like I have to have makeup on. My hair has to be done. Like it has to, like it's just the way I have to appear in order to look professional. But you know, a guy could just whatever, like show up casually with some cool like Nikes and that'd be okay. If I did it, I would lose a client. Or like going into an office, there's like you know, my friend had a really good point. My friend Joanna, she's like, I have to get laser hair removal. I have to get my hair dyed. She's like, there's so many expenses to being a woman just to be able to be in an office. She's like, this is crazy. She's like, this should be paid. Like, this should be covered by you
Yeah,
know, healthcare. Like,
I agree.
yeah,
I agree.
So
right.
how what do we tell these girls? And I mean even women who are not in high school because obviously it's not just felt among high schoolers, you know. That survey was also done with older women too. And when I say older, I just mean not in high school. Um what would you say? What would you tell them? Where did you start? Help them.
Well, I think it's a good start that they're listening to your podcast. That like,
Yeah.
you know, that shows that, you know, they're looking for something or they're staying positive or, you know, I mean, community is a big thing, like friends, community and people that support you. That's huge. Even if it's like virtual, like, or like, you know,
Yeah.
Instagram friends, because like started my fitness journey on my own without like my real friends around. it was just like a me thing. And then like I had, the sweat community to support me and cheer me on. And that was really helpful because when you feel like you're not alone, that really helps.
Oh yes.
1,000%. Community is definitely a big one. And like you said, the virtual aspect, like as somebody who doesn't have a lot of friends, never had a lot of friends, and just knowing that you can connect with people through a screen is really awesome. And it does help. As like I said, as someone who doesn't have that many friends, who grew up always on the outside, uh it's it's nice to have, and it definitely does help.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. Finding the people that you trust to talk about these things and to
Hmm.
normalize them. I know we've said that word a lot, but I really think that that could be the theme, is just it's normal. It really, really is to look in the mirror some days and not be able to, you know, think I am a badass. It is normal. There are
Hmm.
1,000% days that, I mean, I will preach to the choir that you have to work on that relationship, because I do think that what we talked about earlier in the episode, that the hard work you put in is a lifelong process. And I will always say that you deserve to feel better than you do right now, but it's so normal to feel that way too. And I would be lying if I said that every day I looked in the mirror and I was like, yes, because there's definitely been times that I look in the mirror and I will unfortunately pick apart my body, or I'll say, oh man, like I am more bloated today. And then I start going through my head all the things that I ate. And oh my God, maybe I could have ate better. You know what? I bet this girl ate better. And da 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 da. And that is just such a trap to fall into.
Hmm.
Not healthy,
Even,
but we do it because we're
yeah, I mean, even as a fitness professional, I can tell you that it crosses my mind, and I think it's just the way that people are wired.
Mhm.
So, and I think it's just important to realize that you're going to have these thoughts, but it doesn't make you less than. It doesn't make you a failure for having these thoughts. It doesn't mean that you're taking 5 million steps back because you're having these thoughts. You just kind of have to let the thoughts come in, and then let them let them go. Um, and know, like, maybe in a few moments you're going to feel fine, or maybe a day later you're going to be fine, but it doesn't mean that you fucked up or that you went backwards.
Right.
Not at all.
There's my therapist always says you are not your thoughts, and
Mhm.
it's like that's so true because like
Hmm.
not our thoughts because like that's but in the moment it's like it just feels like, or at least
Yeah.
like I am, but they're thoughts. And then he always says also like, okay, so you're feeling anxious, can we make a little room for another feeling because you can feel two things at once? And I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, let's make some room for some joy. Okay, anxiety and a little joy. Anxiety, get in the
Oh,
back
that's so
seat.
fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, these little, it's like, make a little room. You can acknowledge, like the anger, the whatever, but just make a little room. And I'm like, okay, and I'll like talk to myself and just, you know, like small exercises like that help.
I heard a
Yeah,
quote one time that said, your thoughts will come and go, but you will always remain. And that is
that's
so
a great
true,
one.
Yeah.
right? Your thoughts will come and go, but you will remain. I can have a thought. I mean, if you want to be quite literal about it, I didn't go anywhere. Nothing changed. My friends didn't leave me. My partner didn't leave me. And I can have these thoughts. And it has to do with way more than even just like body comparison. I mean, you can have negative thoughts like, maybe people won't like me because of the personality I have. Like maybe I was super shy in like elementary school, middle school, and a good chunk of high school. I was super, super shy. I was very self-conscious. But so I had all those thoughts of, oh, but they're not going to like me. They're going to think this. They're going to think that. I think this and I'm worried about this. But those came and they went. But I now am able to recognize that. And I think to anybody listening who feels like, oh my God, this part's never going to end and there's so much pressure and I just want to do all these things, you don't have to. You can take a deep breath. We are giving you permission to just be. You will be okay. You are here. You are remaining, going back to that quote. And you really do get to decide what you're going to do next. It is not up to anybody else. I know there is a lot of like family pressure people have, cultural pressure that people have, societal pressure that we all have, but take it from the three of us. Some of those things may have defined us or come from a little bit of our story or, shaped parts of it, but they are not us. We are our own people, and each of us is so amazing in so many different ways, and it never once had anything to do with our thoughts. Nobody ever said, I am gonna be your friend because you do care about those things and da 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 da. And yes, we should be care. I don't mean in the sense of like that you can't be a caring person, but the fact that you worry too much about things is normal. And I'm not going to not be friends with somebody because they overthink those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, that totally makes
Yeah.
sense. And I think that's why also we can all three of us, like fitness is like such a big part of our life, like where like we can be in flow and like let all those thoughts, kind of just go away and just like, like this is the time, the moment, like the physical, like the endorphins after, and just like, you know,
I
get
mean,
that.
what
Yeah.
gets your anger out more than lifting something so incredibly heavy and then you just bring it down, you're just like, fuck
Yeah.
that barbell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Belting all too well.
Yeah.
I think that right there, again, another societal thing. Don't be too strong because then you look manly, but don't be too thin because then you look like an unhealthy Victoria's
Fuck
Secret
that.
model. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Ladies, get into fitness. I think that is the best thing that anybody can do for themselves. I literally just posted the other day on Instagram that I don't think I found myself until I found fitness. And there's something for everybody, but I know the three of us can say when you, I was literally going to say when you do fitness, but when you exercise, you tap into this deep version of you that you don't realize was even there at first. And that part of you just opens up and it's like almost like a butterfly coming out of a cocoon. And the more you take care of yourself, because it's an act of self-care, the more you take care of yourself, the more you come out of that and you're like, oh, none of those things fucking mattered. This matters. This is why I'm here. This is what I need to be doing. This barbell's fucking heavy, but I can do this. And you just tap this potential that you probably have no idea you have. So if to people who are, because I get the messages too, like, well, where do I even start? Just start. Like,
Walk to the gym. Just walk there. And then
Yeah.
walk.
Ask somebody. Honestly, you can ask the people at the front desk and then they'll point you towards a personal trainer. And no one's gonna judge you.
Yeah.
I know that is a huge thing that you can get like super
Yeah.
unsure of is like, oh, but they're gonna judge me, they're gonna think I'm stupid, I don't know how to do anything. Like I said, ask somebody or even watch YouTube videos.
Right.
Practice at home if it really is something that you're unsure of, or I mean, I've done it. I can flat out say that I was one of those people who was afraid to look stupid. And
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
so let's just practice.
Yeah.
And then just kind of the more you push yourself out of that kind of box that you're keeping yourself in, it does get easier, and then you just kind of stop caring.
Yeah.
Like you will get there the more you keep pushing yourself.
Right. And the more you'll get more confident. And I noticed that with Thomas, my 13-year-old. So like, well, I got him a membership to the Y because they can use the weight room, the one on 14th Street. And like I would go with him and and he gets so self-conscious. It'd be like after school. So like there's all these middle school and high school scholars there, like just like pumping.
Yeah.
And he
Oh,
gets so embarrassed and be like, no, mom, and like I get there a little bit early and just like start my workout and kind of like, I like know my way around. And they'd be like, how are you so confident, mom? How are you so I'm like, I'm just doing my thing, just like, but he like, so nervous, like literally just looking around the entire time, being like, who's gonna see him? It's just like so
right.
scared. But like the more, he would go, the more confident he would like get. And if he had a buddy with him,
Yeah.
like a friend of his to go with, then like, they're just like filming each other, just like, doing
Yes.
records, just
Yeah.
like, cheering each other on. Because I get it, it can be a scary place, but like little steps, like small steps taken regularly, like is how
Hmm.
change happens, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that though, because that also is literally what we just talked about. Find somebody you trust. And I know this whole episode has been devoted specifically to women, but this is also like very valid fears that I know men feel too. A lot of men feel a lot of pressure. I know I can speak on behalf of my husband. He has also been his entire life the tall kid, the bigger kid. He has a size 16 foot and he's 6'10". And he's always been told, like, oh my God, like you're so tall. Haha. Like, what's the weather like up there? Oh, and it's just like, no, I'm just Ryan, and Ryan is not just his height. And I know these are things that guys can feel too. So I definitely don't want to diminish the way that they could feel because those are all very valid things. But the fact that your son found a buddy, somebody he trusted, he found himself, he's finding himself through fitness and just through taking care of yourself, you do like Mish said, you hit a point where you just stop caring. And it's not that you stop caring to the point where you stop taking care of yourself, but you stop listening to the outside bullshit because it is bullshit. That's
Yes.
what it is.
yeah.
Exactly.
It is pure bullshit. It's somebody else's opinion. Unless you agree with it and unless you want to live by that, then that's a totally different story. Because if you want to be doing something, that's on you and that's fine. And do that because you want it. But do it because you want it, not because someone else is making you do it. And I
And
think that,
don't forget, a lot of times it's people's insecurities
yeah,
projecting onto you as well. So
yes.
it's
Oh my
got
God.
nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with you. And even back to like the pregnancy things too. Like people are wondering when you're going to get pregnant because they were expected to get pregnant right away after they got married or to do this and to do that because they were told to do this. So do things because you want to do them. Remember that all the feelings you're having, all the thoughts you're having, all the fears you're having are normal, but know that it does get better, but you do have to put in the work to make it get better too. I don't want you guys to also just like sit back and be like, okay, well, Julie says it'll get better over time. I mean, it will, but like something the three of us are also saying is that we've put in that work to shut out all of the bullshit
Right.
and to take care of ourselves too. So it will get better, but don't give up on it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you guys do like or like a small practice that you do like daily that helps? Um, I don't know, whether it be like your self-care routine or like anything you could recommend for the listeners,
Oh, good question, Anya.
like a gratitude practice or like just something small we can, you know.
Oh, totally. I have a gratitude journal and it takes quite literally 60 seconds. It is from Amazon and all I do is I write three things every day that I'm grateful for. And I don't care if it's the same three things. I think it was a $7 journal on Amazon and you just write three things that you're grateful for. And sometimes every day I write the exact same thing. Sometimes I say I'm thankful for Ryan, my dogs, and my life. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's what it says
Yeah.
every time. And then other times it's like deep. And I'm like, I am thankful for
Yeah.
the body. I don't know. Sometimes it gets
Yeah.
really deep and really spiritual, but it gives me I would definitely recommend that because it does teach you to be thankful for what you have rather to then be complaining and worried about what you don't have. Because I think a lot of high schoolers and just women in general feel that pressure.
Right.
If you can just push it to the side and look at what you actually have in front of you, now
Right.
you're not really wishing your life away. You're appreciating the life you have.
I know a lot of times like I feel ashamed for like the things that like, you know, like you think or the things you feel. So I would write it all down and then you can either set it on fire or you can rip it up into pieces. And honestly, knowing that you could do that, it kind of makes you feel better because you're getting everything out and letting it go. And I feel like that's something that's huge is being able to accept my thoughts, my feelings, and not being ashamed of the things that you think.
Your thoughts will come and go, but you will remain.
Yeah.
They do not define you in any way, shape, or form. And there is something so therapeutic. I've done that so many times. I rip it up and I just like, because that's like I can physically let my anger out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Rip shit up. I sometimes will just scream because I'm so upset or angry. And it's that like emotional release of quite
Mm-hmm.
taking all of that out somehow of your body, however you need to do it, picking the heavy weights up, ripping something, putting it on fire. It's so freeing.
Yeah, I think anytime everyone needs some kind of like escape that doesn't, doesn't harm anybody or anything. It's just something that lets you express yourself and then allows you to just release.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Anya?
Um, so I also do like a gratitude, journal in the morning. The first thing I do, like when I wake up, is like, today's a great day. I feel great today. Today's like a good morning. I've been listening to like Abraham Hicks morning meditation. I like go in and out of listening to it. It's pretty good. It's like 10-minute meditation where it's like, it's a great morning. Today's a great morning. Like my vortex is full. And like,
I love it.
yeah, that one's like really, really good. Um, and I don't even like look at my phone until my dogs are walked. I do my like 7-minute mental push-ups where I'm like, I enjoy like, being free and clear. I enjoy being free and clear. I enjoy like just like putting things out in the universe.
You're
Yeah,
manifesting.
yeah, kind of like manifesting or like, some of them are like financial goals or like I enjoy working with like blah 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 and like, like or a project or something.
Good.
Yeah, and I do something similar to your writing down and tearing it up exercise, Michelle. It's just mine. So my therapist, we've been working on this, but like as far as like with my anger, when certain people in my mind creep up and take up too much of my mental space, like he's like visualize yourself with whatever it is, like a flame. So I have like flamethrowers that I like throw at whatever object is creeping up in my mind to try to get it out. like like angrily, like when I'm like, this is taking up too much, and then I just like fight it in my mind visually. It kind of helps. I wouldn't say it's like a game changer, but I'm working on it, you know.
Again, though, it's a lifelong process, no matter how old you are. I listened to a podcast of an 85-year-old woman who is the most fit 85-year-old woman out there. And she is just so happy and so content. And she's like lost her husband. She's gone through so much. And she was like, I know the best years are ahead. And she's 85.
Yeah.
And it's like, she says that the best thing to do is to just stop wishing and start making. So instead of constantly taking in all of this and like we're saying holding everything in, you have to let it go because it is quite literally preventing you from living the life that you deserve to be living. And it's just so freeing, and nobody wants to feel that way, and no women, no body, no one deserves to feel all this pressure that we hold on to us. So to anybody listening, hopefully you can take some of these things that the three of us say that we like to do. I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I've said this on many episodes, and Mish and Anya just said this too. We have therapists. don't be afraid to get a therapist. I
Oh
mean,
my
my
God, that's so
God.
important.
It's the best thing I've ever done in my entire life.
I agree, me too.
I
Yeah.
Not like
think me.
fuck what anyone else says.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I honestly recommend a therapist to everybody because there's so many things that like you think about and that you think are such big deals, but then you get an outsider perspective who doesn't judge you and who's completely unbiased to you and whatever you're thinking. It's
Mm.
yeah.
And it will
Get a
like
therapist when
equip
you're
you
thinking
with like
about
the
it.
tools too that you like need in order to like function or just, like it's the
Yeah.
tools that I really like that my therapist gives me to like just be able to like cope or deal with whatever I'm feeling or, it's just like it's, priceless.
Mm-mm.
You have therapists. And actually, you owning up to the fact that you don't have your shit together at 15 is so acceptable and so,
Yeah.
again,
She's
normal.
way ahead than anywhere
Yeah.
I was at 15.
Right? Right? And I also, I get nervous using the word normal, but just because, it's like, well, what is normal anymore? But it is. You
Yeah.
are going to feel these ways and you're going to question yourself and you're going to have days where you're 15 and you're thinking about having a therapist. And that is totally fine because you are 15 and you deserve to have a therapist. I wish I had a therapist when I was 15.
Yeah, and one that like actually like you jive with. I think that's like the more important part because I mean, granted, I did have a therapist when I was in high school, but I didn't like her.
Oh, I
Yeah.
had
I
a
didn't
therapist
did
too.
not like her.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's almost like dating. You have to try out different therapists, see if like you kind of like what you,
Yes.
Yeah.
and then you'll find, one that really fits.
And this on a positive note. What is something that you are so proud to say that you've accomplished that makes you who you are? I mean, let's give these girls some encouragement here. What would you say makes you the most proud? Either again, to be a woman or to just to be who you are. And
It's
you
a
can
big one. That's a big.
really big question, so I can give you some think time.
Honestly, I think what I like most about being a woman is how multifaceted we are. Um, it's really cool to be sensitive and then at the same time be incredibly strong and then almost kind of like not fit in one little mold.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yes, yes. I think that's also my favorite thing. I love that we as women are so complex. And I really think being a woman is like being a superhero because
I agree.
able
I agree with that too.
yes, we are able to do so much and it always amazes society when we actually can do it. And it's like kind of rude that it amazes them so much, but then it's like, you know what though? Like it is fucking amazing that sorry that I get to do all that. And it is amazing because we are amazing. And I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
such a big question, but it's also just such like this a big feeling. Like I am genuinely proud of who I am and 100% like happy that like I'm a woman and I get to live this life this way.
yeah, like you wear so many hats. Like Anya, you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're a realtor, you're a fitness super badass. Like there's so many things that um we as women are, and it's honestly really fucking cool.
Yes. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just like it's something you should be proud of, honestly. And it doesn't it might not feel like that at first, and all three of us obviously have felt that, but you hit this point where you're just like, you know what? I mean, I can birth babies. I if I want to.
Yeah,
I
if you want to.
if
If you want to.
Yeah.
if you want
When
to,
you want to.
Yeah.
if and or when you want to. But like how cool is it that you could?
Yeah.
Like you can wear all these hats. You can be strong and confident. You can be angry and nice. So instead of people saying, you know, we started this episode off with oh, but don't be too strong because then you're this. Why can't I be both? Why
Yeah.
can't I be strong, but also really kind when I need to be? And why can't I be angry, but also be really compassionate because I do understand the way you're feeling? And I think you said it best. Like, we're so multifaceted that
Yeah.
it's like a superhero.
Yeah. And I feel like whenever I see like a woman at the gym, I have like so much more respect for her like now than I ever have before. Like, you know, in high school and stuff, there's all like, I guess there's like competition and the fears and like everything. But now I see a woman and I'm like, that's a badass. Or even on the street, I'm like, you know, strong, powerful woman. I think it's like so incredible. And like I'm all about like uplifting one another. It's yeah. What do you think of
Mhm.
women, Jack? What do you think of women?
They're nice.
They're nice.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank
doing this
you.
with me. I love you both so much. Thank you, Jack, for coming to say hi. And to everybody listening, especially to my ladies, do not forget your worth. Do not forget how amazing it is to be in your shoes. Start looking at things in the sense of, I get to do it instead of I have to. Remember that the hard parts will pass, and never forget that you are absolutely amazing and you deserve to feel just as powerful as you should, because you're a woman, and that's amazing in itself. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.